Last year, I took the iPhone 12 Pro Max and decided to rig it up to this ridiculous contraption, making a normal cinema camera sized setup, and a couple of you seemed to like it. And so this year I decided to do it again, but this time I've got the iPhone 13 Pro Max and ProRes.
Hey, are you ready? Gonna take that prize. Oh, got a feeling, and I won't keep quiet. Hey, I'm going, yeah, I feel alive. Oh, get ready.
Now, when I was thinking of what I wanted to talk about and showcase in this video of the ultimate iPhone 13 setup video, I kind of bounced back and forth between two different setups, and so I just decided to do them both. So as always, if you're interested in any of the accessories or products we use today, they'll all be linked down in the description for you guys to check out. Keep in mind they are affiliated links, so if you decide to buy one, then I do get a small kickback, but no pressure. Now, if you're just curious in seeing how good this camera can be by itself, go check out my iPhone ProRes video from a month or two ago, right when ProRes first came out. That's going to give you the best ability to see the footage that just comes straight out of the phone with no extra lenses or accessories attached to it. So for the anamorphic setup, we're going to be using B-Script's 1.55x anamorphic lens attached to the B-Script Pro cage, since the 13 Beast cages, which are the ones that are specifically designed for a specific phone model, haven't released yet. And the Pro cage is nice and universal, and you can pretty much attach any phone, iPhone or Android, to it, totally customizable and super convenient. Now, just in case you've never shot anamorphic before, whether you're shooting it with a phone or a big cinema camera, some of the key characteristics are very similar. Now, everyone knows anamorphic for those light streaks, which that's going to vary greatly by the lens, so I'm definitely excited to see how it looks on the iPhone. I can't imagine it's going to be drastically different than any other phone model. But another thing to note about anamorphic is, since you are squeezing and de-squeezing the image, you're not going to get this like very clinically clean image just like we get straight out of the phone. So you only shoot anamorphic if you're going to add a little bit of character to it. You're going to get more rounded edges on the outside. Things are going to look distorted a little bit. Of course, you're going to get that taller oval bokeh, but hopefully we'll be able to get a relatively sharp center and still get an overall image and vibe that is aesthetically pleasing. If we use the stock camera app, we're going to see this squeezed image, which technically is okay because you just record it and then throw it in something like DaVinci Resolve and de-squeeze it in post, but it's going to make monitoring a nightmare. And so thankfully Filmic Pro, of course, has ProRes HQ, and now they have where you can shoot in BT 2020, which is going to be more dynamic range, closer to that Dolby Vision HDR look rather than just a regular Rec 709 look. Filmic also allows us to preview the de-squeeze, and you can actually decide if you want Filmic to process the de-squeezed image just before you even save the video, so that way it's already stretched by the time it saves, or you can just preview the de-squeezed image and then it will save the squeezed image for you to de-squeeze in your own personal software. To keep things relatively easy, and I don't see any major benefit in keeping the squeezed image, I'm just going to go ahead and de-squeeze the image right in Filmic. So now that this setup is complete, let's take a look at how the footage turns out from the iPhone 13 Pro Max and the anamorphic lens.
I'm romanticizing you. I'm romanticizing you. I'm romanticizing you. I'm romanticizing, romanticizing. I romanticize. Maybe I don't miss you, I just miss how you fantasize. Wanted you to want me to, was living for the fantasy. Now we know where feelings go, they come back. I romanticize. Nights together, said forever, mornings where we left it.
All right, so what'd you guys think about the anamorphic look? Let me know down in the comments below. This setup of the two is definitely the more practical and versatile to carry around, since it's a relatively compact setup. The other thing that I really like about the anamorphic lens from 𝗦𝗧𝗨𝗙 is that it does have filter threads on the front, so you can throw on their ND filters if you're shooting out in daylight and retain proper shutter speed and exposure. But now let's move on to what you probably clicked on the thumbnail for, this guy right here. So if you've never seen one of my videos where I have a setup like this, it's really simple. We're going to take the same 𝗦𝗧𝗨𝗏 Pro cage and throw on what's called a DOF adapter. It's basically an adapter with a bunch of mirrors inside that kind of scale down or scale up a full-size EF mounted lens to then be able to connect to your phone lens. Now there are a couple cons to using a DOF adapter. One of the major ones is you lose about 20 to 25% of light. So if you're already in a semi lower lit environment, it's about to get really dark. So if your phone does not do well in low light, it's going to be rough. The other thing is, in order to get a clear image, you need to make sure that the spacing between the DOF adapter and the phone lens is perfect. Also, the adapter flips your image upside down, so you're gonna have to use a third-party app like Beastcam or Filmic Pro again, where you can do a 35mm flip. That way you can properly view what you're looking at. If you want to or have to use a stock camera app, again, the image is just upside down, so maybe you can lock your screen orientation and then just physically flip the phone upside down and view it that way. I have had to do that before. And finally, definitely the biggest con of the DOF adapter is, depending on your lens and phone combination, you're most likely going to get some pretty gnarly vignetting. Sometimes to the point where you can't even call it vignetting anymore, and it's more like one of those old school video mats. Actually, that's what I had to put over top of this sample footage just to add some style, but it was either that or punching into an already soft image. I can't even use my IRIX 15mm lens just because it is way too wide for the sensor and lens combination. So I have to use my 45, or if I wanted to use a zoom lens, I could get past all the vignetting and get a full frame. So just be aware that depending on what lens you're hooking up to this, you may have to deal with those sort of issues. But if you can work around all of those things, then you're in for a very unique, characteristic phone footage. Similar to the anamorphic, this is not going to give you that clinical, crystal clear, sharp image that you're going to get straight out of the phone. Again, it totally depends on what lens and phone you're using, but in my specific setup, it's giving me these very vintagey, VHS feeling vibes. So this obviously isn't a setup you can really carry around in your pocket, but if you are a person who films, whether it's personal or professional projects with your phone, and you're looking for something different and unique, this is definitely gonna sit outside the box from other phone footage and videos. So now that we got this setup complete, let's take a look at how the footage turned out.
This is what it's like to love stereo.
Alright, setup number 2 done. What'd you guys think about the footage? Do you have a preference between the DOF adapter and the anamorphic, or do you just like the regular iPhone by itself? Personally, I think they all turned out well. They definitely have different looks and different unique use cases, but I'm just totally stoked for the state of where iPhone filmmaking is at, especially with ProRes, just that extra detail along with the 10-bit Dolby Vision footage, allowing us to actually create color graded looks and stylize the things we want. In no way is my iPhone replacing bigger cinema cameras or mirrorless cameras in the next couple of years, but it's just pretty cool the fact that you can just sit there with your phone hooked up to a real lens and matte box and filters in the front, just like you would with a normal camera, and then be able to just pop your phone out, edit something on it, and then post it directly to social media. Anyways, let me know your thoughts down below, and if you're interested in more phone videos and kind of me testing them out in a more cinematography way rather than a daily use case scenario, check out a couple other of these videos here. Thanks so much for watching, guys. See you in the next video.